Running volleyball tryouts is obviously about assessing players. Oftentimes, however, it's also a question of managing a large number of players. If you don't have to manage a lot of players, you can run virtually a regular training session. You just have to incorporate activities covering the key things you want to look at for rating players. As such, I'll focus here on doing assessments as efficiently as possible. I'll do that by providing volleyball tryout drill ideas that could be used to. Warm-up, as I discussed in Are Your Warm-Ups Wasting Valuable Time? Warm-ups tend to be quite badly handled. This can be especially true in tryout situations where you want to get into assessment as quickly as possible. Warm-ups should be considered part of that process, not something which simply prepares players for it. I favor going right into basic ball handling drills, especially ones with a movement element. Even simple pepper drills are quite useful here. Handle the variability and how they actually attack the block and defense. Serving. Chances are this is something you don't want to spend all that much time addressing. Generally, we can quickly judge a player's serving ability simply by watching a couple reps. To that end, just lining them up on either end of the court and having them serve back and forth like a pre-game warm-up may suffice. Doing this for a couple of minutes should allow you to give each player a watch. If you want to narrow things down, you can take it a step further by introducing a goal. For example, depending on the level of play, you could set an objective of 10 serves in a row, or some number of serves to a given zone. I'd suggest a time limit to keep a drill from running on too long. If you have the players who reach that objective step out of the drill, you'll get a good idea of the stronger versus weaker servers. Passing. There are plenty of possible serve-receive exercises that can serve as volleyball tryout drill ideas. What you're probably looking to judge here is which players are aggressive versus passive, communication, movement to the ball, and passing mechanics. A simple pass and follow shuttle, pass the ball and go to the end of the line on the other side, will give you an idea of simple ball handling skill. You want to see what players look like when receiving serve, though, to get a full assessment. A big deciding factor in how you set that up is the likely quality of the servers. If the players aren't able to serve consistently, then you need to either do coach-initiated serves or use tossed/thrown balls in place of serves. Perhaps use something like passing triplets. If the players can serve. Setting. You can probably get at least a basic idea of someone's setting ability by watching them pepper. Or go through a setting shuttle such as the one mentioned for passing above. To assess a player for a setting role, however, you need to see them actually set to hitters. You also want to see how they move on the court. Setting to a hitting line is a simple solution to the former. Adding the requirement that the set comes off a pass adds the element of seeing the setter move around. You'll want to put the setter candidates in a game-like situation to finish the assessment, though. Hitting. A look at players in pepper will give you an idea of where a player is at in terms of arm swing mechanics and ability to control an attack. Simple hitting lines provide an assessment opportunity to look at hitters in terms of approach, timing, jump, swing mechanics, and the like. If you don't have a consistent setter on hand, you may need to have the hitting done off a toss. To go beyond basics, though, you need to put hitters in game-like situations. That will let you see how they handle the variability and how they actually attack the block and defense. Blocking. In many cases, a quick look at the relative heights of your players provides a good idea of blocking ability. Going beyond that, however, you want to look at a prospective blocker's footwork, quickness along the net, and ability to properly position and time their block. The footwork and speed side of things can be seen through simple blocking movement work at the net. The rest of it requires facing a hitter, though. That can be accomplished by putting blockers against a hitting line, perhaps requiring some additional initial movement, like MB closing to the pin blocker. Things like recognition, anticipation, and the other mental parts of blocking will only come by watching players in gameplay situations. Defense. You can probably get a significant sense of a player's defensive abilities and mentality by watching them in game-like situations. That shows you who is aggressive and who is passive. It may also give you an idea of who is a lateral-type defender, good for middle backs in most systems, and who is good at moving forward, good for wing defenders in many systems, as well as which players are able to read situations and hitters. To specifically assess dig control, you can put players through a coach on X type of drill. That's where the coach hits balls at a group of players. This tends to be better for smaller groups, however, or situations where there are multiple coaches with room to spread out into different groups. Having players dig against hitting lines tends not to be very useful because it's usually not very realistic. Gameplay. As noted, there are some things you'll want to assess which are best done in game situations. A good way to do this in a situation which moves players quickly through is something like winners. For a large group, you could split the court down the middle and run 2 sets of winners threes on the same court. That gets 12 players on the court in a situation where they are likely to get more contacts than if they were playing 6v6. If you have a smaller group, a winner's variation where you use back row attacks only lets you see players having to cover more area, but in a situation where the attacks are less potent, leading to generally longer rallies than if the hitters were attacking on the net. If you want to run 6v6 and have a large group, you can do something like Neville Pepper. In this case, one team of 6 stays on for a fixed period of time. The teams on the other side rotate after each rally. You can also do a wave variation in which you setting priorities. In the end, what you pick to run as volleyball tryout drill ideas must be based on your selection priorities. It's just like training priorities to develop a practice plan. If you're looking to pick 12 players from a group, it is different than if you've already got 8 returners and just want to pick players who fill some needs. Similarly, it's different picking varsity versus junior varsity. So start your tryout planning process by thinking about the sorts of things you need to identify and assess. Then work from there. More volleyball tryout drill ideas. Hopefully, these volleyball tryout drill ideas at least give you a starting point to develop a good plan. A single article like this can't really go into a lot of depth, though. That's why I put together a booklet that goes further.